my lovely rose garden. I'm Avalon.
And I'm Ray.
And we're going to just start booking it, pun intended, through these chapters because we now have an incentive, a light at the end of the tunnel, something that we actually want to do when we're done with this. And that is, we're going to start voice acting Cinderella Boy, which is something we've been practicing and we're really excited for, but it is going to basically be private for supporters because it is something I'm a little shy about. I think maybe we'll have the first one be public just so you can get a sense of what it sounds like. And then if you want the rest of it, you're going to have to either join up on Patreon or Coffee or YouTube member so you can get the rest of it. It'll be less commentary and more just us flexing our voice acting skills. So if that's something you're interested in, you can check it out. But that'll be when we're done with this so that we have motivation to finish.
Yes.
Because just being done with this book is not enough of a motivation to sit down and read it. So without further ado, here we fucking go. When we last left off, she was getting into her duel. And
her duel with a weapon that she's never used before.
Yeah, has no training with.
Yeah.
I'll be amazed if it survives this fight.
It's a staff, so, it's a staff going up against, what, a sword?
A sword, yeah.
I'm like, okay.
Bladed weapon.
Yeah, I'm like, okay.
I don't know if that's a great matchup. Like, I don't think the weapon triangle checks out on that one.
Well, I mean, okay. Because she's the main character, it's gonna go just fine. But realistically, no.
All right.
Do not bring a stick to a sword fight.
Comments. Place your bets now. Timestamp it. Place your bet. Will the staff break? And if you think it will, how long into the fight do you think it will take? Comment now. Like, pause, comment, come back. All right. As she expected, Grave launched himself at her, going straight for the center of the staff in his hope to break it. Okay, so he's aware.
He's just all like, you brought a stick to a sword fight. What the fuck are you doing?
He's aware enough that... But Phoebe whirled away. As Grave struck nothing but air, she slammed the butt of the staff into his spine. He staggered, but kept upright, turning on one foot as he charged after her again. She took the blow this time, angling her staff so he hit the bottom half. His blade wedged in the wood, and she jumped toward him, letting the force of his own blow snap the upper part of the staff straight into his face. For a second, I thought she just let the staff break. They're playing with me here. Like, this is SJM being like, we know the staff's gonna break. She's just trolling at this point. He stumbled, but her fist was waiting.
Stumbled?
Stumbled.
I said stumbled.
Oh. Stumbled's a pretty good word.
Stumbled.
It's got kind of an onomatopoeia effect.
Yeah,
anyway,
a little bit.
He stumbled, but her fist was waiting. As it met with his nose, she savored the rush of pain through her hand and the crunch of his bones beneath her knuckles. She leapt back before he had a chance to strike. Blood gleamed as it trickled from his nose. Bitch, he hissed and swung.
Rude.
Ooh, I swear.
Ooh, he said a bad word.
She met his blade, holding the staff with both hands, pushing the wood shaft into his sword, even when it let out a splintering groan. She shoved him, grunting, and spun. She whacked the back of his head with the top of the staff, and he teetered, but regained his footing. He wiped at his bloody nose, eyes gleaming as he panted. His pock-marked face became feral, and he charged, aiming a direct blow to her heart. Too fast, too wild for him to stop. She dropped into a crouch. As the blade sailed overhead, she lashed out at his legs. He didn't even have time to cry out as she swept his feet out from under him, nor did he have time to raise his weapon before she crouched over his chest, the iron-coated tip of the staff at his throat. She brought her mouth close to his ear. How?
Yeah, I'm like...
What are the... Is she standing over him? Like, okay, so I'm imagining she's, like, in a pose kind of like this.
Yeah. crouched slightly.
Bent
with,
knees,
yeah.
but you need some leverage for the staff thing. How would you lean in close to his ear in that position?
Worst of all, if you lean in close to his ear, that gives him an opening to just stab you with the sword. You're supposed to have the staff in between you and the sword.
Yeah, like...
You're a fool.
I'm sure that SJM...
He could literally just, like, swing his arm up and decapitate your ass now.
Or just shove you off. Like...
Yeah. It's all like, this is... Okay.
I'm sure SJM thought that this was really badass and everything, but logistically this makes no sense and is very stupid for her to do before the match is called.
Yeah.
Like, even after the match is called, you still keep your guard up for a few minutes because the other person, assuming that they're even going to do the honorable thing and respect that the match has been called, may not process that it's been called for a few minutes.
Yeah.
I have a personal story about this.
Oh.
Because I don't know if I've mentioned, but I used to do karate.
Mm-hmm.
Specifically the kind of karate that firebending is based on, which is kind of cool. And on Thursdays, so it was a twice a week thing. On Tuesdays, we worked on, like, you know, technique, form, all that kind of stuff. Learning new moves and things like that. And on Thursdays, we did full contact sparring. And I mean, like, full contact sparring. Like, we had to have mouth guards and, like, gloves, or else they wouldn't let you in the ring.
Yeah.
And I was fairly young, but I also reached my adult size fairly young. So I was sparring usually with, like, the older kids. Usually within the same rank as me, but some a little higher up. And so this one time I was sparring against this guy. I forget his name. I'm just going to call him Ken. And he was really good. Like, his whole family did, like, all of his siblings were there and everything. They practiced together in their off time. Like, he was really good. It was kind of a challenge. Like, I hadn't faced him before, but I was kind of pushing myself not to go up against just the regular opponents that I usually sparred with that I knew I could beat. So we had our match, and it was a solid match. Like, we were going at it for like a couple minutes before someone called a point. And the problem was that as soon as the point was called, I dropped my guard and went to go back to our starting position. That meant taking a step toward him because I had started, like, we had circled each other.
Yeah.
So I was walking toward him to go back to my starting position. And he hadn't heard that the point had called, or he was, you know, in the middle of, for whatever reason, he didn't stop right away.
Yeah.
So I just got, like, a full fucking roundhouse right in the gut.
Ow.
Like,
oh my god.
With no guard, with no, like, you know, and we did conditioning, so, like, we could take a hit.
Yeah.
But, you know, how you're kind of supposed to, like, tense your muscles so that, no, I didn't do that.
Still, yeah.
Because I had my guard down. So I was knocked back a few feet onto my ass and just was, like, gasping for breath.
Yeah.
Like, my sensei had to come, like, help me up and walk me out of the ring.
Yeah.
Because like I said, he was good. It was a very solid roundhouse.
Yeah.
So you don't stop right away. Like, I learned that day. And he did not get a penalty for that either. Because our,
Oh, that's surprising.
Yeah, I guess because it was, like, right when it was called. Like, because I knew I'd gotten the point.
Oh,
so I was prepared, like, for them to call it.
Even when I was also in martial arts and we did full contact sparring, and straight up, like, if the other person didn't notice that the point had been called, that was on them and they would have been disallowed from returning to the ring for the rest of the day. my sensei was not, he didn't play around with that.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess the judge ruled in his favor that he did not get a penalty for that one. But
So you say that all of his family members were in martial arts?
yeah,
They probably spend a lot of money there. That's why.
yeah.
Yeah,
But the match was over anyway.
but still, it's like, yeah. That's probably why.
Yeah. But the lesson was do not drop your guard until you see the other person, like, stop. Because he was still in position when I was walking toward him.
Yeah.
So.
But at the same time, he should have.
Yeah, he should have stopped. But
yeah.
Point being, Phoebe is in a much higher stakes fight than that one. And you have reason to believe that this guy is going to fight dirty? Don't give him an opening.
For real.
Fucking idiot. She brought her
Also,
mouth.
side note, I really hated the smell of those stupid gloves.
Oh my god, yeah.
They always smell just the worst.
Yeah, like
we also had like the head protectants. I don't know if you guys use those. But
only like one person.
They always smelled so bad.
They really do. And there's no real way to like wash them. Like,
yeah,
I tried.
They smell like the inside of a gym all the time, and you can never not unpermeate it from that smell.
Yeah, because like the material.
Yeah, because it's like that foam covered with like the like vinyl sort of covering.
It's meant to absorb impact, but it also absorbs everything else.
It'll smell like hell. That's why I always hated sparring. It wasn't necessarily because of like the fighting or anything. It was just because I had to wear those stupid gloves that would leave the smell on my hand afterwards.
For me, it was the mouth guard. Like, that was just sensory hell.
Oh, like, the mouth guard wasn't too bad because at the same time I was also wearing a retainer. So, like, it was kind of like that.
Oh, see, I never had, like, braces or a retainer or anything.
Well, good for you.
So like, having something, big and rubber in my mouth was really just...
Ours were, like... I don't know if they were rubber, necessarily. Well, like, they were that clear, like, rubber.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was probably the same kind.
You probably had to get, like, your own mouth guard, obviously, because,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then we had to, like, boil it.
Yeah.
And then, so it would, like, be more malleable to the shape of your mouth.
Yeah.
And then you had to, like... Anyway.
Yeah. Sorry. Anyway, reminiscing.
My name is Phoebe Halliwell, she whispered.
Phoebe Halliwell.
But it makes no difference if my name's Phoebe or Prue or Piper, because I'd still beat you no matter what you call me. She smiled at him as she stood. He just stared up at her, his bloody nose leaking down the side of his cheek. She took the handkerchief from her pocket and dropped it on his chest. You can keep that, she said before she walked off the veranda. Well, yeah, I don't want it back after he's wiped his bloody nose on it. She intercepted Kaol as soon as she crossed the line of chalk. How long did that take? She asked. She found Nehemia beaming at her, and Phoebe lifted her staff in a little in salute. 2 minutes. She grinned at the captain. She was hardly winded. Better than Kane's time. And certainly more dramatic, Kaol said. Was the handkerchief really necessary? She bit down on her lip and was about to reply when the king stood, the crowd quieting. Wine for the winners, he said, and Kane stalked from his place on the sidelines to stand before the king's table. Phoebe remained with Kaol. The king gestured at Kaltane, who obediently picked up a silver tray containing 2 goblets. She gave one to Kane, then walked over to Phoebe and handed the other to her before pausing in front of the king's table. Out of good faith and honor to the great goddess, Kaltane said in a dramatic voice, Phoebe wanted to punch her. The girl hate, just out of fucking nowhere. Bitch gave you wine and you're like, you don't want to punch her. Like, shut the fuck up.
Like, yeah, she poisoned it, but obviously
you don't know
Phoebe
that.
Wouldn't know that.
May it be your offering to the mother who bore us all. Drink and let her bless you and replenish your strength. Who had written that little script? Kaltane bowed to them, and Phoebe raised the goblet to her lips. The king smiled at her, and she tried not to flinch as she drank. Kaltain took the goblet when she finished and curtsied to Cain as she accepted his and slunk away. Win, win, win. Take him down quickly, she's just thinking to herself.
Mm-hmm.
Ready yourselves, the king ordered, and begin on my mark. Oh, wow, we're getting 2 fights. 2 fights condensed into 1 chapter.
Yeah.
Because the fight against Grave was so easy and worth nothing that it was over in a few pages. But I expected it to be its own chapter, so...
Yeah.
This is a neutral statement, neither positive nor negative. Gotta get my own little drinky. Okay. Phoebe looked to Chaol. Wasn't she allowed a moment to rest? Even Dorian raised his brows at his father, but the king refused to acknowledge his son's silent questioning. Cain drew his sword, a crooked grin on his face as he crouched in a defensive stance in the center of the ring. Insults would have risen to her lips if Chaol hadn't touched her shoulder, his chestnut eyes filled with some emotion she couldn't yet understand. There was strength in his face that she found to be achingly beautiful. Don't lose, he whispered so only she could hear. I don't feel like having to escort you all the way back to Endovier. The world became foggy around the edges as he stepped away, his head held high as he ignored the white-hot glare of the king. Cain edged closer, his broadsword gleaming. Phoebe took a deep breath and entered the ring. The conqueror of Aeriel raised his hands. Begin, he roared, and Phoebe shook her head, trying to clear her blurry vision. She steadied herself, wielding the staff like a sword as Cain began circling.
Do not wield
it like a sword.
They are 2 very different weapons.
You are a disgrace to Donatello, Purple Ninja Turtle. Nausea flashed through her as his muscles flexed. For some reason, the world was still hazy. She clenched her teeth, blinking. She'd use his strength against him. Wow, that poison worked really fast.
Probably because of the adrenaline, not gonna lie.
Yeah, okay. Cain charged
like
faster.
I'll give Sarah J. Maas that, like, if you just like did something very physical and adrenaline is pumping through your body and you're already like on edge and shit, yeah, that shit's gonna work fast.
Yeah. Cain charged faster than she anticipated. She caught his sword on the broadside with the staff, avoiding the sharp edges, and leaped back as she heard the wood groan. He struck so quickly.
It's leapt.
It is. I said leaped, but it is leapt.
Oh, okay. I was about to.
My bad.
I was about to go insane. Because leaped isn't a word.
I thought it was.
No.
Anyway.
It's
I am not infallible.
It's okay.
He struck so quickly that she had to concede to the edge of his blade. It sank deep into the staff. Her arms ached from the impact. Before she could recover, Cain yanked his sword from her weapon and surged toward her. She could only bound back, deflecting the blow with the iron tip of the staff. Her blood felt slow and thick. Her head spun. Was she ill?
Girl, your blood felt slow and thick. Shit, damn.
The nausea would not ease. Grunting, Phoebe pulled away with an effort of skill and force. God, I am shit at reading today. Maybe I'm poisoned. If she were truly ill, she must finish this as quickly as possible. It was not a showcase of her abilities, especially if that book had been right and Cain had been granted the strength of all those dead champions. Switching onto the offensive, she nimbly swept toward him. He parried Phoebe's attack with a brush of his blade. She brought the staff down upon his sword, splinters flying into the air. Her heart pounded in her ears, and the sound of wood against steel became almost unbearable. Why were things slowing down? She attacked, faster and faster, stronger and stronger. Cain laughed, and she almost screamed in anger. Each time she moved a foot to trip him, each time they came too close, she either became clumsy or he stepped away, as if he knew what she planned all along. She had the infuriating feeling that he was toying with her, that there was some joke she didn't understand. Phoebe whipped the staff through the air, hoping to catch him upon his unprotected neck, but he deflected, and though she spun and tried to knock him in his stomach, he blocked her again. I don't remember if I gave him a voice, but for some reason, I saw this line and a Cockney accent just, sprung forth in my brain.
Okay.
Not feeling well. I don't know if that's Cockney.
Yeah,
He,
it's Cockney.
he said, showing his white, gleaming teeth. Well, at least his teeth are white. He's not got like some yellow crooked shit going on in there like I expected.
Yeah, like she's gone on to say that like literally all the bad people are ugly in this, so
He's doing this for the dental plan. He doesn't even care about being the king's champion. He just doesn't want to lose his pearly whites.
honestly vibes.
Perhaps you shouldn't have been holding back all those. It gets worse. It just gets worse.
It gets worse from here.
I promise my voice acting for Cinderella Boy will be better than this.
You won't be forced to do any accents.
Yeah. Wham! She grinned as the shaft of her staff slammed into his side. He bent over, and her leg lashed out and swept him off his feet, sending him crashing to the ground. She raised her staff, but a sick feeling rushed through her, so powerful that her muscles slackened. She had no strength. Wouldn't it be great if she just threw up all over him?
That's how you really defeat someone in a battle.
Like, he's on the ground, she's over him, just projectile vomit on him. Just breathe fire right on him. He knocked aside her blow as if it was nothing, and she retreated while he rose. And that's when she heard the laugh, soft, feminine, and vicious. Kaltane. Phoebe's feet stumbled, but she stayed upright as she dared a glance at the lady and the goblets on the table before her. And that's when she knew it hadn't been wine in that glass, but bloodbane, the very drug she'd missed in the test. Okay, well, at least they're referencing that she did fuck that up once.
Yeah.
We get one referenced fuck up. At best, it caused hallucinations and disorientation. At worst... She's not hallucinating, though? I guess disorientation. She had difficulty holding the staff. Kane came at her, and she had no choice but to meet his blows, barely having the strength to raise the weapon each time. How much bloodbane had they given her? The staff cracked, splintered, and groaned. If it were a lethal dose, she'd be dead by now. They must have given her enough to disorient her, but not enough that it would be easy to prove. She couldn't focus, and her body became hot and cold. Kane was so large. He was a mountain, and his blows, they made Kaol seem like a child. "Tired already?" he asked. "It's a pity all that yapping didn't amount to much." He knew. He knew they'd drugged her. She snarled and lunged. He stepped aside, and her eyes went wide as she hit nothing but air, 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 until... Hey, don't you be hitting air. That's my cibby. I'll kill you.
How dare you?
You better be watching what you're doing there with that. He slammed his fist into her spine, and she only saw the blur of the slate tiles before they collided with her face. "Pathetic," he said, his shadow falling over her as she flipped onto her back, scrambling away before he could get closer. She could taste the blood in her mouth. This couldn't be happening. They couldn't have betrayed her like this.
Who?
Who, Kaltane? Absolutely she would do this to you. What the fuck are you talking about? "If I were grave, I'd be insulted that you'd beaten me." Her breath came fast and hard, and her knees ached as she stumbled upright, charging at him. Too fast for her to block, he grabbed her by the collar of her shirt and hurled her back. She kept upright as she tripped and stopped a few feet from him. Kane circled her, swinging his sword idly. His eyes were dark, dark like that portal to that other world. He was drawing out the inevitable, a predator playing with his meal before eating it. He wanted to enjoy every moment. She had to end this now, before the hallucinations started. She knew they'd be powerful. Seers had once used bloodbane as a drug to view spirits from other worlds.
Okay.
I feel like that might be useful here, actually. Because, you know, he is doing shit with other worlds.
Yeah.
Which, again, like, wish we hadn't seen the Ritterak earlier. Wish they, I mean, I don't know. Maybe... It's hard to be like, I wish things were happening, but then I wish things happened at certain... There's just a way you could do this that...
It's more the thing is that she goes for so long with fuck all happening. And then, like, in one or two chapters, she hurriedly, like, tries to scramble together some world building that she could have easily, like,
included
paced
elsewhere.
out a little more. And,
Like,
and not had the main character fall asleep during the main acceptable lore dump.
Yeah. I think it's mostly this, like, new information that, like, oh, Bloodbane used to be used by seers to see spirits. And I'm like,
It's
okay,
like,
cool.
why would she be thinking of that right now?
Yeah, and I'm like, okay, but if we had learned that during the poison test,
Yeah.
when Bloodbane was brought up before, and then it could have been like, oh, there's this thing stalking the castle grounds, and like we see the aftermath of it, but we never see what's doing it, which is really weird because whatever it is has to be big. Well, what if you can't see it unless you either are the one who summoned it or you're using Bloodbane?
Yeah.
And like obviously Bloodbane has a huge drawback that it kind of fucks you up. But what if, they're fighting and she keeps getting all these like blows that she can't block. She can't see them coming.
Yeah.
And then the Bloodbane kicks in and now she can see it.
Yeah.
And it actually becomes like her advantage where, they poisoned her because they wanted to make her weak, but they accidentally gave her an advantage that she can now see this thing coming, and that's how she wins.
Yeah.
It's a weird detail to throw in if you're not going to do anything with it other than be like, oh, it causes hallucinations and those wacky old-timey seers used to like it feels
lazy,
derivative.
It feels lazy.
Yeah.
It feels like, oh, I don't know, just
like it feels kind of derogatory. That's where I was going for, not derivative. It feels like it's kind of derogatory toward indigenous cultures that use hallucinogenics for ritual purpose.
Yeah.
Like, why throw that in here? Anyway, Phoebe shot forward with a sweep of the staff. Wood slammed into steel. The staff snapped in two. All right, there we go. If you were placing bets, there it is.
27 minutes into this fucking
Plus
chapter.
however many seconds for the intro. Anyway, there you go. Before the half-hour mark. The iron-tipped head soared to the other side of the veranda, leaving Phoebe with a useless piece of wood. Kane's black eyes met with hers for a moment before his other arm lashed out and connected with her shoulder. She heard the crack before she felt the pain, and Phoebe screamed, dropping to her knees as her shoulder dislocated. His foot met with the shoulder, and she went flying backward, falling so hard that her shoulder relocated with a sickening crunch. The agony blinded her. The world went in and out of focus. Things were so slow. Kane grabbed the collar of her jacket to pull her to her feet. She staggered back.
Can you do that? Oh, wait, no, never. I thought you said K-All for a second. I'm like, is he allowed in there? But no, I'm just
No, it's Kane. She staggered back out of his grasp, the ground rushing beneath her, and then fell hard. She raised the shaft of broken wood with her left hand. Kane, panting and grinning, approached. POV switch tilde.
Oh, okay.
Dorian clenched his teeth. Something was terribly wrong. He'd known it.
Yeah.
Good job.
Good job, buddy. Good job, buddy. You saw. You figured it out.
He'd known from the moment the duel started and began sweating when she had the opportunity to bestow a winning blow and failed to deliver it. But now, he couldn't watch as Kane kicked her shoulder and felt as if he'd vomit when the brute picked her up and she fell to the ground. She kept wiping her eyes and sweat shone on her forehead. What was wrong? He should stop it. He should call off the duel now. Let her start tomorrow with a sword in her senses. K-All hissed, and Dorian almost cried out as Phoebe attempted to stand but collapsed. Kane teased her, breaking not only her body but her will. He had to stop it. Kane swung his sword at Phoebe, who threw herself backward but not fast enough. She yelped as the blade sliced across her thigh, clothing and flesh ripping. Blood colored her pants. Despite it, she stood again, her face set in defiant rage. Dorian had to help her, but if he interfered, they might just proclaim Kane the victor. I think that's gonna happen anyway.
Yeah, I'm just over here like, you're the prince. But I don't know if you remember this, but you're the prince.
I mean, the king is right there, though.
Yeah, but still, like, you're still the prince.
So he
Just
watched
saying.
in growing horror and despair as Kane's fist slammed into her jaw, sorry. She only got one of those.
She has multiple now.
Her knees twisted as she fell. How?
Just
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know.
Anyway, POV switch tilde.
Woo!
Something in Kale began fraying as Phoebe raised her bloodied face to look at Kane. I expected better, Kane said as Phoebe crawled into a kneeling position, still clutching at her useless piece of wood. She panted through her teeth, blood leaking from her lip. Kane studied her face as if he could read it, as if he could hear something Kale couldn't. And what would your father say? There's Bug. An expression flashed across Phoebe's eyes that bordered on fear and confusion. Shut your mouth, she said, her words trembling as she fought the pain of her wounds. But Kane kept staring at her, his smile growing. It's all there, he said. Right under that wall you built on top of it. I can see it clear as day. What was he talking about? Kane lifted his sword and ran his finger through the blood. Her blood. Kale reined in his disgust and anger. Kane let out a breathy laugh. What was it like when you woke between your parents covered in their blood? The accent just keeps getting worse.
It just keeps getting worse.
Shut your mouth, she said again, her free hand clawing at the ground, her face twisted with rage and anguish. Whatever wound Kane was touching, it burned. Ah, we're getting actual backstory. Not the one she's made up, but her real past. Mm-hmm. Why does he know about it? I doubt we'll ever know. Your mother was a pretty young thing, wasn't she? Kane said. Be quiet! She tried to surge to her feet, but her injured leg kept her down. She gasped for breath. How did Kane know these things about Phoebe's past? Kale's heart pounded wildly, but he could do nothing to help her. She let out a wordless scream that shattered through the frozen wind. Okay. As she scrambled to her feet.
I mean, screams usually tend to be wordless.
Her pain lost in her fury, she swung at his blade with the remnant of the staff. Good, Kane panted, not good, pressing her staff so hard that his blade sank into the wood. But not good enough. He shoved her, and as she staggered back a step, he brought up his leg and kicked her in the ribs. She went flying. I do enjoy that she's losing. She's getting her ass beat. Mm-hmm. And admittedly, it's only because she's been drugged. But I do still enjoy that she is actually facing an opponent she can't physically overpower. Mm-hmm. Kale had never seen anyone struck that hard. Phoebe hit the ground and flipped over and over and over until she slammed into the clock tower. So, out of the ring, right? Her head whacked against the black stone, and he bit down on his yell, forcing himself to remain on the sidelines, forcing himself to watch as Kane broke her apart piece by piece. How had it gone wrong so quickly? She trembled as she raised herself to her knees, clutching her side. She still held on to the remnant of Nehemia's staff as if it were a rock in the middle of a violent sea. POV switch tilde. Phoebe tasted blood as Kane seized her again, dragging her across the floor. She didn't try to fight him. He could have pointed his sword at her heart at any point. This wasn't a duel, it was an execution, and no one was doing anything to stop it. They'd drugged her. It wasn't fair. The sunlight flickered, and she thrashed in Kane's grip, despite the agony shooting through her body. Thought it said she didn't try to fight him. Now she's thrashing. This is the same paragraph. All around her were whispering, laughing, otherworldly voices. They called to her, but called a different name, a dangerous name. She glanced skyward, seeing the tip of Kane's chin before he hoisted her onto her feet and slammed her, face first, into a wall of freezing, smooth stone. She was enveloped in familiar darkness. Her skull ached with the impact. Wow, your bones are aching. That's impressive. I mean, I guess that's a common enough expression.
Her dogs are barking.
But Phoebe's cry of pain was cut short as she opened her eyes to the dark and saw what appeared. Something dead stood before her. It was a man, his skin pale and rotting. His eyes burned red, and he pointed at her in a broken, stiff way. His teeth were all sharp, and so long they barely fit into his mouth. Where had the world gone? The hallucinations must be starting. Light flashed as she was yanked back, her eyes bulging as Kane threw her to the ground near the edge of the ring. Just drag yourself out of there, girl. You have lost. Resoundingly, you have lost. A shadow passed across the sun. It was over. She would die now. Die or lose and be sent back to Endovier. It was over. Over. 2 black boots came into view, and then a pair of knees as someone crouched on the edge of the ring. "Get up," Kaol whispered. She couldn't bring herself to look him in the face. It was over. Kane began laughing, and she felt the reverberation of his steps as he walked around the ring. "Is this all you have to offer?" he shouted triumphantly. Phoebe trembled. The world was awash with fog and darkness and voices. "Get up," Kaol said again, louder. She could only stare at the white line of chalk that marked the ring. Kane had said things he couldn't possibly know. He'd seen it in her eyes. And if he knew about her past... She whimpered, hating herself for it, and for the tears that began sliding down her face, across the bridge of her nose and onto the floor. It was all over. "Phoebe," Kaol said gently. And then she heard the scraping noise as his hand came into view, sliding across the flagstones. His fingertips stopped just at the edge of the white line. "Phoebe," he breathed, his voice laced with pain and hope. This was all she had left, his outstretched hand and the promise of hope, of something better waiting on the other side of that line. Moving her arm made sparks dance before her eyes, but she extended it until her fingertips reached the line of chalk, and stayed there, not a quarter inch from Kaol, the thick white mark separating them. She lifted her eyes to his face and found his gaze lined with silver. "Get up," was all he said. So is he like trying to get her to tap out, or...
I don't know.
I assume, because, you know, they could do something. Like, even if she's supposed to be shipped off back to Endovier, I'm sure they could figure something out.
Yeah.
And in that moment, somehow his face was the only thing that mattered. See, I like how she's been kissing the prince, but they're still really pushing Kaol as primary love interest here.
And then we know that...
And we know that doesn't work out either.
Doesn't end up with either of them.
Like, she does break up with Dorian and date Kaol for a while, but then she dumps him too, so... Anyway. Again, I wish I could enjoy the idea of the female lead not ending up with one of the first 2 male leads that we're introduced to, or even dating and breaking up with somebody and seeing how their relationship is handled after the breakup, and them just being friends afterwards. Like, I feel like there's a space in fiction to explore that kind of thing. I just don't think it's done well here.
Well, okay, my main thing is that, like, yeah, I roll my eyes whenever the heroine ends up with the first guy she lays eyes on in a story. But at the same time, it's like, if the main love interest isn't, the, like, final endgame love interest isn't introduced in, like, the first book, I'm just all like, she won't, by definition, she will not have as much time, and thus the audience will not have as much time to get to know the final love interest, and it'll always feel just a little bit hollow.
Perhaps.
I like to know all of the characters early on so that I can form my own opinions as to who the main character will fall in love with, basically.
Yeah, that's fair. She stirred and couldn't stop her sob as her body erupted with pain that made her lie still again, but she kept her focus on his brown eyes, on his tightly pressed lips as they parted, and whispered, "Get up!" She pulled her arm away from the line, bracing her palm against the frozen ground. She kept his gaze when she moved her other hand beneath her chest and bit down on the scream of pain as she pushed upward, her shoulder nearly buckling. She slid her good leg under her, and as she made to stand she felt the thud of Kane's steps, and Kaol's eyes went wide. The world spun black and mist and blue. Mist is not a color. As Kane grabbed her and shoved her against the clock tower once more, her face smashing into the stone. Kersmash.
Smash.
When she opened her eyes, the world shifted. Blackness was everywhere. Deep down, she knew it wasn't just a hallucination. What she saw, who she saw, truly existed just beyond the veil of her world, and the poisonous drug had somehow opened her mind to see them. There were 2 creatures now, and the second one had wings. It was grinning, just as... Phoebe didn't have time to shout as it launched into flight. It threw her to the ground, its claws ripped at her. She thrashed. Where had the world gone? Where was she? There were more of them. More appeared. The dead, demons, monsters. They wanted her. They called her name. Most of them had wings, and the ones that didn't were carried in the talons of others. They struck as they passed, their claws slicing her flesh. They were going to bring her inside their realm, and the tower was the gaping portal. She would be devoured. Terror like she'd never known took over. Phoebe covered her head as they swept upon her, and she kicked blindly. Where had the world gone?
You already asked that.
Okay, yeah. The first time you say that, pretty decent line, all right? Like,
Yeah.
good. This character is very disoriented and literally cannot see what is real and what's not. The third time you say it, and the second time on this page, stop. It was good the first time. How much poison had they given her? She was going to die. Freedom or death. Defiance and rage mixed in her blood. She swung her free arm, and it met with a shadowy face with burning coals for eyes. The darkness rippled, and Kane's gaping features appeared.
Imagine if, like, she actually hasn't, reached another world or whatever, and she is really just tripping balls right now.
For all we know, she is. There was sun here. This was reality. How long did she have before another wave of the poison-induced visions took over? Kane reached for her throat, and she flung herself backward. All that he managed to grab was her amulet. With a resounding snap, the eye of Elena ripped from her neck. The sunlight disappeared, and the bloodbane seizing control of her mind again, and Phoebe found herself before an army of the dead. The shadowy figure that was Kane raised his arm, dropping the amulet upon the ground. They came for her. All right, so actually, some decent action in the back half of this chapter. Like,
Yeah.
I think some of the descriptions got a little repetitive, and of course the fucking staff broke, but
No one's surprised about that.
overall, like, it wasn't horrible. There was some decent action.
Yeah.
With real tension and stakes, because you're like, oh shit, she might lose. And even if they don't kill her, there will still be consequences. It's wild how consequences raise the stakes of the scene. If only we had had any of that earlier. God. But no, like, I'm decently satisfied. Like,
Yeah.
this is what I wanted the ultimate duel Selena versus Kane to go like.
Yeah.
And I like that she's having to earn her victory if she even is going to win. I feel like simply through the power of plot, she will come out of this on top somehow because she's the main character. She has to win.
Mm-hmm.
But I do not know how she's going to do that. And that's the kind of intrigue that's going to keep someone reading and keep someone invested in what's happening. The one with Grave, it's like, that was negligible. She just took him out. It was like 2 pages. I don't give a shit.
Yeah.
But the fight with Kane and just the brutality actually is interesting. And not just because I want to see her get her ass handed to her, but just in a general, I am having an experience reading this story kind of way.
Mm-hmm.
This is interesting. Like,
yeah.
I don't feel like it was a slog to get through that.
Yeah.
And I actually want to keep reading to see what happens in the next chapter.
Mm-hmm.
Which is probably the first time I felt that all book. So, okay. Wasn't horrible. Good job on page, 300, however many pages.
We're at, we're at currently 361.
So, after 300 and, I'm going to say 55 pages of being bored, I am finally interested. If only it had happened sooner. So yeah, we'll be back with another chapter soon. And I hope you all are having a great day and keep growing until next time.
Bye-bye.